If circumstances arise where we need to collectively come back together for a press conference, we will. But at this point, our different public relations officers, the city will, through Heather McCollum, handle media through her, and the sheriff's office. Sheriff, who do you have in your office at the
Andy Norris.
Andy Norris. So you can work through those two individuals for comments. Today, I just want to start by thanking the thousands of volunteers that have descended upon the city. Yesterday, we had to make the decision not to credential over the weekend and probably for the foreseeable future. It became apparent that we were going to have thousands upon thousands of people come into the city and county, and we were not going to be able to process them in an effective manner. And what we did not want to do was slow up the efforts of those that are going out and help our citizens. Understanding that we will have a credential process in place, we just need more time to develop it. And I would rather us be patient and put together an organization model that can help our citizens than trying to meet an arbitrary deadline. LaDonna Roberts, who is coordinating the county's work, has done an extraordinary job. We've had dozens of volunteers who haven't slept in the past 2 days who have worked tirelessly to get the Volunteer Registration Center open, and I want to thank them. The center is open, by the way, and it's open from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m., and today over 2,500 people have been through the Volunteer Registration Center, and that's who we know of. There are thousands of people who are with affiliated groups, whether it's Samaritan's Purse, United Methodist Church, many others who are out there in the streets of Tuscaloosa making a difference, and we want to thank them. And again, we will have more information later in the week about the procedures, and as we continue to define it. I'm very glad, though, and just really my heart is just touched by the number of people who are giving back to the people of Tuscaloosa. You know, when this started, the first night of this disaster, I quoted Romans, which it says, Romans 12:12, which says, "Rejoice in our confident hope, be patient in trouble, and keep praying. And when God's people are in need, help them." Well, today you see that we're helping God's people, and a multitude of people are making that happen. Now to some statistics, and then Sheriff Sexton will comment for the county and will answer any questions that you may have. We're still at 41 fatalities. We are now down to 6 missing persons, and it's really 4 searches because 3 of those missing persons is one family. 3 of the 6 is part of one family. We've cleared 1,110 names thus far, and this has been a joint effort between the Sheriff's Office, the city, Northport, and just a tremendous collaborative effort among everyone. Last night we had 2 arrests for curfew. We're also seeing today the demobilization of the urban search and rescue teams from Louisiana and Mobile. The Tuscaloosa Fire and Rescue will continue its search and rescue efforts. I'm also amending my executive order on the curfew. Beginning Sunday night, the curfew will be from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. And that's indefinitely. That may change during the course of the next few weeks, but for now the curfew will be amended beginning Sunday night from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. As I touched on at the beginning of my remarks, the volunteer efforts continue to just be impressive. Yesterday in the city first aid areas, we provided 1,365 MREs, 1,497 cases of water, 2,006 bags of ice, and 969 cases of tarps. We also served 12,000 meals yesterday in addition to that. FEMA continues to do a great job in getting efforts underway to help those that have been impacted by the storm. In Tuscaloosa County, 7,893 people have registered with FEMA, and FEMA has already put $12.6 million back to those who have qualified for FEMA assistance. That is the update from the city, and I'll ask Sheriff Sexton to give you an update from the county.
Thank you, Mayor. The search and rescue of the whole community has been completed. The Alabama Task Force 1 from Mobile Fire Department reported out this morning with a recommendation to begin general debris removal. 20th Special Forces continue their ground search of the tornado's path from Holt all the way up to the county line. We anticipate that to take at least another day and go through tomorrow. The Missing Persons Task Force continues to resolve the location of 6 persons. Yesterday, 4 K-9 teams from United States Border Patrol arrived to support the task force and are currently searching areas of interest to investigators. I want to thank the United States Department of Homeland Security for their support. FEMA Disaster Relief Center is being opened today at the gymnasium of the Holt Elementary School, which is located at 1001 Crescent Ridge Road. This Disaster Relief Center should be open by noon with operational hours of 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Thereon until they close. This is the same location where the county's Incident Command and National Guard point of distribution have been located. The National Guard's point of distribution center will transition to a self-serve center tomorrow at 7 p.m. And the Sheriff's Office and the National Guard will maintain an enhanced presence to facilitate security and traffic needs until the situation allows for reduction. That's it, Boone County.
Thank you, Sheriff. Any questions?
Yes, I just have a question. Have you spoken to Dr. Witt about the situation with how the university is going to be funding?
Well, Dr. Witt and I have spoken nearly daily since April 27th, and the resources the university has put into this effort has been tremendous. I know on the first night, I believe they were working 14 different intersections throughout the city. We've also collaborated on issues regarding housing and potential space for those who have been hurt by this storm, and I know we forwarded that on to FEMA. Dr. Witt has been tremendous in offering his general support, and he and the university have been active partners in helping us through this process.
Mayor, can you talk a little bit about, I guess, the volunteer situation? You're suspending the credentialing process, so is it a situation where people can just kind of come into town and go wherever they think they're needed, or is your office or other places within the city, I guess, kind of directing them to people who may have a certain need?
Really two parts to that. Number one, the large affiliated groups that have come into town are coordinating with the Volunteer Registration Center. So we're able to give them locations based off the data that really these two gentlemen to my left and right provide. So they're able to hopefully place them in situations where they can be most effective. It's also helping those who people who come in with unaffiliated groups. Somebody that wants to come from Decatur with a group of friends. They can come by the Volunteer Registration Center and go ahead and get registered, which we're going ahead and registering. So when we do get the credential process up and going, that we'll already have that information available, and helping place them into areas where they can be most effective. We desperately wanted to have the Volunteer Registration Center up and at maximum capabilities today, but it became apparent that with the number of volunteers, with the amount of resources it would take, we just weren't there. And one of the things we didn't want to do was somehow suffocate the goodwill of the thousands of people that came into Tuscaloosa to help our fellow citizens. We will get it operational, but at this time we need more resources, and we need more planning to make it as effective as it needs to be.
What kind of impact would you say, or do you think that they've had either on debris removal, getting supplies to people, and feeding not just people who may be homeless as a result of the tornado?
Share that story. Share the story you shared with me earlier.
The volunteers have had a terrific impact. Yesterday, a church group, I'm sorry, I just don't know what church, showed up at our command post, went into an area that is significantly impacted. They had heavy equipment. They had whatever you need to be able to clean. They started at one end of Crescent Ridge Road and moved to the others and did it on numerous streets. Their impact is tremendous. A number of residents in the whole community are glad they were there, including two of my own deputies who have not had the opportunity to attend to their own matters because they've been serving persons throughout the county. So their impact is tremendous. They've served meals to first responders, meals to victims. They have comforted them. Groups of chaplains have been constantly around our incident command post. They have been the ones that have been able to take someone, let them cry on their shoulders, and make sure that they get the help they need. They literally have taken them by their hand and helped them go find whatever their needs are, whether it be food, water, comfort, needs for their homes, groceries, you name it, they've done it.
And what makes it even more extraordinary is last Thursday, in my assessment, we were staring down a humanitarian crisis. We had the majority of the city without electricity. We were facing the possibility of losing pressure within our water distribution system. The city's emergency management agency, or the countywide emergency management agency, was gone. The city's ability to deal with garbage and debris was gone. We were also looking at issues at our treatment plants. We were facing a very critical situation, on top of having thousands of people homeless. The difference came from our volunteers. They immediately began getting supplies into these areas, and we were able to organize around them. And they led the effort, and we followed and supported them. They were the difference in keeping people fed, keeping them hydrated, and keeping them clothed during the early hours of this crisis. They are the quiet heroes, the unsung heroes, that I'm not sure we would have weathered the initial phase of this disaster if it wasn't for their Herculean efforts.
You know, there will be one memory that I will have indelibly marked. I think the mayor's talked about the movement of persons walking to the hospital and so on. But last weekend, to watch people in pickup trucks weaving their way in between debris, either with fully cooked homemade meals or with pizzas or with whatever, basically acting the same as any delivery service, door-to-door delivery service, and identifying and even giving us information back who was homebound, specific information that was very valuable to us came from volunteers.
Mayor, on Monday, the HUD secretary will be here in Birmingham. Do you have an idea of where you want to take him, or what do you think he needs to see so he personally can see the impact these tornadoes have had on our area?
Well, nearly 2 years ago, Secretary Donovan came to Tuscaloosa, and we took a tour of the Rosedale community, which we have been applying for a Hope 6 grant for several years now. And we also took a tour of McKenzie Court, which we want to replicate in Rosedale. So I would imagine this is going to be a great opportunity for us to look at the Rosedale community and see what we can do to bring it up to the same standard that McKenzie Court is now. I also want to discuss with him how we can better utilize HUD funds and CDBG funding to help first-time homebuyer programs. We've got a real opportunity to give a lot of people who are renting maybe an opportunity for the first time to own their own homes. We also have a lot of businesses, over 500, that were affected by this tornado. There is funding through HUD and CDBG that can help small businesses. So how can we utilize that? So my goal is twofold. Number one, let's get those resources, whether it's for Rosedale, for our small business owners, and and to begin creating first-time home buyers. And second, my goal is to find out what all can HUD do. I think there are many things that they can do that we're not aware of. And so how can we get started and access that information so we can be as creative as we know how to continue the recovery in Tuscaloosa?
Unless you hear differently, is your thought process right now HUD funds would only be available for public housing and not private homeowners or some subdivisions who are just as damaged as Rosedale? Well,
there are many, and it's just not Rosedale where HUD can make a difference. You have many people that live in Section 8 housing. That's funding that comes from HUD. But HUD also has a lot of wonderful programs, including first-time home buyer. It's through their home funds. And that is something that I think we have a real opportunity here. We have a lot of people who are renters who are now displaced, who are going to be searching for affordable housing. And what HUD does through many of their programs, it gives those at certain income thresholds opportunities through funding to purchase their first home. We need a massive infusion of those types of dollars to really get people back on their feet. This is an opportunity in Tuscaloosa that we may never have again. And if we can utilize as many resources, including HUD, we can honor those who have died by building this community better, and HUD gives us one of those avenues to do so. Any other questions? Well, I know on behalf of all of us here, thank you for your patience during this time. We appreciate you covering us and allowing us to get attention out to our constituents. Both the sheriff and I appreciate that sincerely. And again, if you have any questions in the future, just work through our separate departments, and we'll be happy to accommodate y'all. Thank y'all.